Hello, bonjour. Welcome to Sugar for Your Lemonade, the neutral platform to discuss and normalize self-healing to the masses. Welcome your hosts, Ashval and Mel.
Hi, Ash.
What's up? It's a beautiful Edmonton day. It's crispy outside. It's that crispy fall. So like when you're out walking your dog, you can like go out of your way to like crunch all the leaves. I'm that guy. Like our walk takes so long now and it's not even because of the dog. I'm like, Mom, it's a big leaf and I want to crunch it. I'm like, actually, that fits well with today's theme, but we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that, yeah. How to be an adult with the big leaves. Okay, we're going to start with our celebration.
Yes.
So what are you celebrating today?
I am celebrating. So I made a couple items of food last week in my Instant Pot, which I absolutely love. Using an Instant Pot is amazing. But anyway, I made some meals and they were delicious. Like so good, but they were like tan color. Like there was no enthusiasm to the visual aspect of this food, even though it was like so nom-nommy and so tasty and like delicious. It was tan color. It was like eating the color tan. It was just so strange. But anyway, I ate it because it was delicious. But my celebration is that. And yesterday I made colorful vegetables. There was bok choy. There was yellow pepper and beets, and it was so colorful. And I was like, whoa. So it was very exciting. I don't know. I'm just enjoying the food thing lately because like, yeah, it's been interesting. So I went from tan to like a rainbow color and I'm really excited about that. And I just want to celebrate it. No real reason.
Well, I'm happy you're happy.
I guess my only complaint is one of my tan items that I made was like a pinto bean soup. And as delicious as it was, I have never been quite so gassy. Like it was intense, but I was like, but it's so good. So I had some the next day, and I'm like freezing some for later. But I know now, so perhaps don't have that before I go out anywhere. But no regrets.
No regrets, and we're there. We're there now.
A little tootie. What's your celebration?
Okay, well, my celebration is a little bit different. I am someone that loves traveling, loves getting on an airplane. For some weird reason, I just love being on an airplane so I can read my book. So I have nothing else that I can do is just read my books, and I quite enjoy it. And with COVID, all of my trips have been canceled. And finally...
And you had a few trips.
I had like
2 or 3 at least.
Three canceled, yeah.
Yeah, like Pan Am Games.
Yeah, so Puerto Rico, visiting Quebec, and then I had another trip that was supposed to be planned. I mean, this one I never actually bought.
But like 2 for sure were
booked that got canceled, yeah. So now we are leaving and we're going to go just to Abbotsford. I mean, it's not like the craziest trip, but I get to get on an airplane to go on a Sunshine Coast and go see Kelsey and Vanessa. So I'm really pumped. This is my celebration.
I'm just going to piggyback on that. I'm going to.
Yeah. We're both good.
I'm just not as excited about the plane ride. It's just like, meh. But
Don't
I mean, I get it. I'm excited
my
for you.
book reading.
I will not. I know better. We've traveled enough. I just leave her alone. Although, when we were coming back from Mexico, remember, we were playing Uno. We weren't sitting beside each other, but we were both on like the aisle seat. And so we like divided our Uno deck in half and just like played from our... Anyway, we had a lot of fun.
We did have a lot of fun. We entertained ourselves.
You were freaking crushing me in Uno, though. I was getting so annoyed.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Beginner's luck, I think. That was
No. Okay, just fun fact, just speaking of games, I have never won a game of Scrabble against Mel.
And I'm French.
And she's freaking French. Like... What?
I'm a little bit competitive. You have not.
Yeah, you know what? That's true. I'm not competitive.
Yeah.
Like at all.
Yeah. She just get excited for my big words. And I'm like, you gotta beat me.
That's true. Anyway,
so today.
What do you want to talk about today?
We wanted to talk about how sometimes it sucks or great it is to be an adult.
Adulting.
And the word adulting is, whatever. But
catches you off guard. But then you're like, oh, wait a second. What?
Yeah. So like just all those little moments where, it would be so much easier to hide under a blanket and not deal with life. And you have to freaking adult.
This is where like that last episode where I talked about having a Dorota.
Yeah.
I would love to have a Dorota to take care of all of these adulting things.
Like, yeah.
Right?
So what's coming up to you if I just say adulting? Like, what's the first thing that you think about that you're like, ugh?
Honestly?
Yeah.
Taxes.
Ugh.
I know, right? But you got to do it.
You got to do it.
I guess you don't got to do it. I hear lots of people that go years and years without filing their taxes, and it actually causes me panic. But it's just like, it's eventually going to catch up to you, right? So it's like, just stay on top of it. Like, be a good little adult. Get your fucking taxes done.
Yeah.
Like, just do it. That, and then like, dentist.
You know what? We're going to come back to the taxes because
car
I have
appointment.
a funny story for you.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. So
Do tell.
remember when I decided to be an entrepreneur? I do. You do. You remember that? Personal trainer was great. So in my head, I was not going to make that much money, right? But I didn't make crazy amount of money.
Big dreams.
Big dreams. But it's a long time ago. It's
That
like
was a
about
while
10 years ago. And little did I know, because I've always had been like employed, I didn't really put that much money aside for tax season. So when tax season came out and I get my thing from my accountant and it's like I owed $7,000.
Did you poop your pants again?
Oh, I had a mini heart attack. I was like, well, shit. So yeah, I've learned like to be an adult and try to be more responsible with my taxes after that. But yeah, because before that it was like minimal, right? Like but yeah.
Well, because like whoever you're working for, that's kind of taken off your check.
Yes.
You might owe like a little amount, you might get a little back, but for the most part,
Yeah.
it's taken care of for you. And that's actually a big beef I have when it comes to like having your own small business and stuff. Like most of us aren't business savvy that way. Like, yes, we can have enough wherewithal to set up an account, like a separate bank account, get an accountant even. Well, not even everybody knows to do that. But like, you can kind of get the little things, but they don't really tell you what to do.
They don't.
And like, those are big shocks. Like, what do you mean I owe $7,000? It's one thing to be like, oh, I typically owe $7,000 every year, so I'm just going to put a little aside. Like, you can handle that. But just like the PS, you owe this. It's just like,
happen.
yeah.
Those are like hard reality. And like coming back to like being an adult, like, and we talked about the budget and all that stuff, and like why don't we know that? Like, why don't we learn that in school? Like, I'm just, hello, can we please now like put that in schools? People learn. Like, that's my big thing. But we talked about that already. But that's part of adulting and taxes and putting money away and like put in a little bank account that you're gonna have to give to the government at the end of the year. So yeah, that's a good one. I never think about this one.
And then you have your little things, like I said before, like the dentist, you know. Because, like, it's often enough that you go, but it's not so often that it, like, always stays in the forefront of your mind. So you kind of forget sometimes. Car appointments, like getting your oil changed, tires rotated. I don't know. Whatever you do with cars, I just make an appointment and really hope I don't get taken advantage of.
I know. That's not a way to show up as an adult, right? You're like, and one time I used that, I guess. This person was trying to sell me some winter tires. And clearly, like, I'm a girl, I walk into this dealership, whatever it was, like it was back in BC, and the guys try to sell me the tires, like
the top of the line,
top of the line, and something that you need, and
like you're gonna go on an iceberg with this.
You need this, otherwise you might crash your car. And the guy's going on and on and on, and I just stopped him and I'm like, sir, if I was your daughter, like your 24-year-old daughter, what would you suggest? And the guy changed his speech completely.
That's really good.
Yeah, you could see in his eyes, he was like, I can't lie to you now. So, I know.
Oh.
You can use that,
you
guys.
went right for the feels.
I went for it because I was annoyed. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know anything about this. And I'm asking for your help. But now you have the sales eyes going and I know. So I used the feels.
That is really good. I don't think I could pull that card anymore. I think I'm too old for that now.
Yeah, you might be. Well,
you know what? You know, I could, if I get like, a 65 plus. Yeah. But I mean, generally those people don't really try and you never know. You never know.
They've been in the business.
I'm going to keep it in my back pocket. That's a good one. Yeah. I like that.
Never know. And if whatever happens, I will be curious to know what happens. But yeah.
So another thing, self-care. I know it sounds really kind of like blah, but like you don't always want to wash your hair.
I think this is a problem, or another problem. This is something we kind of developed in the COVID pandemic of like staying home a little bit more, right? So it's like, well, do I actually need to wash my hair? People will just see me on Zoom, can put it up, can put a toque on.
Well, I was going to say it's fall outside. We can go back. That was actually a downfall of summer. Yeah, I was like, I can't hide behind my toque.
Yeah,
like, damn it. But now the fall's back. Just never take off my toque.
Yeah.
Don't know what day it is.
Ashley and she's wearing a toque. You know that her hair is probably...
so it's not even just like hair washing. And I only wash it every 4 days. But like, it's hard to dry your hair. Anyway, that's a whole different podcast. But like, even foods, like maintaining good food and like whatever that means for you. But like, because each person's going to be so different on it. But like whatever food prep looks like for you, whatever food planning looks like for you, just like I say, everything I ate last week was freaking tan color. And it's not that it was bad for me, but it's like I probably could have got a few more greens in there. Like I probably could have. But I just was like,
Yeah, I think food is a really easy way to be like, I could just be a fucking teenager and eat ramen noodle all day and get some chocolate at night and then it would be great, right?
Well, that's what I did when I moved out. I mean, not that I had good eating growing up, but like when I moved, there was just something about being on your own And it's just like, I'm going to eat whatever I want. And then I did. And I was like, I don't feel good. Like, I don't feel good. And that's not cheap. Like, it's not cheap to just eat whatever you want. And there's just, those were a couple hard lessons.
Oh, do you remember when we lived together and we went on a phase where we would buy tenderloin steaks pretty much every night?
Beef tenderloin, yeah. That was good. I don't regret that.
I don't regret it, but
it was very expensive.
Our grocery bills
was so crazy.
But we were eating like queens every night. This is so great. Until we're like, yeah, we might need to adult a little bit.
I think that
here.
was followed up by about 6 months of ramen.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to tone it down somehow. We're like, oh, this is what this is what we mean by being an adult, right? Like, yeah, we could continue doing that. That would have been great. Yeah. Our bank account probably would not have liked it as much, but this is what adulting means, right? Like being like an adult and like, yeah, putting the Oreos away, Ashley.
I've changed to Chips Ahoy in the last week.
But yeah, and like, I mean, I hear you, like even from my previous experience as being like a personal trainer or like a bit of a nutrition, like giving tips, right? Yeah. People would be like, yeah, but you don't understand. I really love my cookies. And I was like, dude, everyone loves fucking cookies. Like what we want to do is you need to be an adult and put the cookies away, eat your broccoli, eat your chicken, and then you can have some, right? And it's,
the adulting part of that is having a broccoli and chicken.
Yes. Yeah. Because I mean, that's the adulting part. And just being smart for your body, right? Like, yeah, it might feel good in your 20s, but when you're like a little bit later in life. So yeah, that's where adulting sometimes can suck. And you're like, I wish I could eat a birthday cake for dinner. That would be great.
Well, you can. You can do it, but then it's like, how will you feel the next day?
Exactly.
It's like drinking, right? Like you can get away with that a lot in your younger years. Like, oh, I can work the next day with a hangover. Now I'm like, I have a sip of something. I'm like, perhaps I shouldn't drive. Like I just no. So it's like just the tolerance just isn't there. So.
Oh my goodness. And when I hear like my, like the younger friends that I have around me that like, oh yeah, I was partying all weekend and this and that. And I literally have anxiety, like looking at them. I'm like, how do you function? Like the adult in me is like, oh my God, like you are like, well, it's 9 o'clock. If I leave right now, I will have a good night of sleep. So
it'll be okay. I'll be a little sleep deprived, but
yeah, I'll be okay. But yeah, I think that, that part naturally, your body is just like, hey, stop. Like that's enough, right?
Another one or another area where adulting is not necessarily easy, movement.
Oh.
So like we'll call it exercise, but I mean, please, big broad stroke on exercise, like whatever that means for you. But like, damn, it's hard to get into a routine and then like not having the associated like shame and guilt when you don't make a workout or do you know what I mean? And it's just like, but then like I'm sore if I don't work out, but then I'm sore if I work out. Like, what do I do? Like, it's just like, it's so confusing and it's just like, nah. But then it's like, I know I need to do movement. Like I need to do this stuff because my body does actually feel a million times better. Exactly. And like longevity, like I'm not doing this for me today. I'm doing this for when I'm 135. Let's get real. So it's like, I know I'm kind of like putting in some like long-term investment with it, but like that motivation thing is really hard. And I'm like, hey, be an adult.
Be an adult.
Just go do it. Just go do it. Like, like I'll negotiate with myself. It's ridiculous, but I'm like, hey, just like 15 minutes. You can move for 15 minutes. Some days that's all I do, but you know what?
But that's movement.
It's honestly, something. Yeah. So, but like, it's not easy, but I have to like definitely pep talk myself. And it's like, you're a grown ass woman, like take care of your body.
Yeah.
You have a privilege to have a body to take care of. Ugh. So it's just like, but like, I don't want to be an adult. I want to sleep in and hit snooze again.
But I think you said it like that's the best way to see it, right? Like, well, how you feel after every time is good, right? Like having a little
like
sweat.
That's super cliche. Good. Like you never regret the workout,
but you just never do.
You don't. You just don't.
Unless it's like 200 lunges for time. Like that's bad.
Well, that's up to individual choices.
Anyways. But yeah, no, I would say how you feel. And like, yes, we get the chance. Like that's a freaking privilege like we have to just move our bodies. We're healthy. We've got equipment. We've got the chance to even just go outside and run, right? Like we're so lucky, but we sometimes see it as a like,
yeah, see it as like a chore.
It's a chore, but really.
I mean, kind of. I mean, you can absolutely look at it as a chore. And I think it's easier to look at it as a chore because you just want to be lazy. You don't want to do things. But then it's like when you kind of switch the perspective a bit and be like, I actually have the privilege to do this and I have the capacity to do this and I have the financial means to do this. Like I have all the soaps and foods and showers or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like I have all the stuff that I need to appropriately take care of myself.
Yeah.
So fucking do it.
Yeah, and like just as a pro tip, I'm going to give you my pro tip.
Oh.
Actually. Oh,
Pro tip.
pro tip.
I feel like we should have some music for that. Oh, that was bad music. Let's not use that music.
Yeah, let's not use this one. But I'll go back to COVID because this is when I really had to like being like, how can I show up for people and leading them by example? And for me, like a good workout was not literally the workout. Like the first part of the workout was to literally put my shoes on. If I had my shoes on, then I knew, okay, this was my click. Like my brain was like, okay, it's time to go. But like, so I challenged myself and I challenge everyone. If you're like struggling into getting a routine, literally like set time of day, an appointment in your phone or whatever it is, and then just start by putting your goddamn shoes on.
Like one thing. Pick one thing.
Start
and that's your win.
Yeah,
that's a big win for the day.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you put your shoes on, then like you start your workout. But like the hardest part is not the workout itself, it's literally to put the shoes on. So once you kind of get into a routine and you're like putting the shoes, then you're good. You're good to go. And if it's like 10, 20, 50, whatever minutes you want in that day, that's fine. But start by putting the shoes. That's my biggest pro tip because it kept me going every day for COVID. So,
well, my COVID pro tip for movement was I literally would roll out of bed and get to my basement, put on a sports bra and just start moving.
Yeah.
I'm like, so my whole thing, I tried to fool myself. I was like, if I start moving before I really wake up, then by the time I'm kind of awake, I'm already halfway through my workout. And so this is literally what I've told myself. Like every day.
So for you, it's not the shoes, it's the sport bra.
It's the sports bra. Like just get in the basement and put that sports bra on. And then you're there. You're already there.
You're already there.
You don't even really have to have your eyes open.
Yeah.
Like you can lunge around a bit, do a couple squats. Like it doesn't matter. Just start moving. And by the time you wake up, you're already done your workout. So you're already done. And that has actually served me really well. But
you're basically tricking yourself. You're like,
so far it's working. I think it's adorable. Like I'm fooling myself. Like, what does that even mean? But it seems to be working. So I don't want to rock the boat on that.
Honestly, that's all this is. And I've been like working in the fitness industry for so many years, right? We know that it's not the workout, it's the habit.
It's the consistency. And that's why, like if today is a 10-minute workout, cool. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because that is 100% more than doing nothing.
Exactly.
So and it's just the habit of doing it on a consistent basis. Like your body really appreciates that. And it goes so much farther.
Yeah.
So, but it's hard. It's hard adulting.
It's hard. It's a stupid, Because again, as you said, would it be so much easier to stay in bed and like, oh, maybe I'll watch an episode of something or I'll scroll my phone.
Well, and I got this fun alarm clock that like 10 minutes before the alarm goes off, it starts to get a little bit brighter and brighter and brighter. And then it's like these birds chirping and then the birds get a little bit louder and that's how you wake up. I'm like, what? I feel like freaking Snow White. I'm like, this is awesome. Hit snooze. I want to do that again. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll get up. But okay, so these are kind of like the womp womps of adulting. But what's some exciting things about adulting? Like things that you would like, you can only appreciate as an adult.
You can go to bed at the time you want.
Not what I thought she was going to say. Well, the best part about that is you're in bed at like 8:30.
Well, now it's like 10. Thank you very much.
Such a badass.
But yeah.
That is funny. I did not expect that answer.
I got so excited about it too.
You remember the first time you bought a front-loading washer or dryer, or the first time you saw a front-loading washer or dryer?
Yeah.
Damn.
It
was just like, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. Or when you get a new appliance of any kind.
Oh my gosh. Do you remember my Dyson?
I was just going to say.
Oh, this was an obsession.
That's, to put it mildly, it was an obsession. Anytime I'd message Mel, hey, what are you up to? Vacuuming. Like, weren't you doing that 20 minutes ago? Yeah, well, Cooper walked across the floor. Oh, okay. Okay.
And I would love to just be like, no, whatever. But no, this was all true. Like I had like, I had some like kind of cream-ish like carpet and I bought a Dyson and it was just like the best. Like that was when I knew I was an adult. Or I get
when you
my
spent
first
the money
condo,
on a Dyson.
and it's like, oh.
No, it's not even the condo, it was the Dyson.
The Dyson made it big. Yeah. Or you see those like appliances, like those small appliances for the kitchen. You're like, if I get that, I'm going to be such an adult.
Until you get them. And then you're like, where do I put everything? Like, stupid spiraler and my juicer and this. Like,
yeah.
And then, And then you go into Kijiji.
Yeah, you saw that. I was going to say Facebook market sell. Same thing, Kijiji. You just put it out there. You're like, you know what? I don't really need this. So yeah, Dyson was really exciting.
Do you know what my thing was? It thrills me. And I don't know why. And I know there are people out there because I have talked to other people. I'm not alone. And if you don't live around snow, you won't get it. But when you're shoveling And you get like the perfectly clear cement, like you've just shoveled all the snow and like where people have stepped, you've scraped it off and like it's just this perfectly clear cement after shoveling. That is a boss adult move right there. And the driveway is hard to maintain because the tires, right? It like compacts it down. So like you got to be on top of that. Like you can't miss a day. Anyway, like this is something that
I'm just looking at you in awe because, like, quite honestly, I haven't been there yet. I'm not that adult yet. Evan takes care of the driveway. So
well, and when we lived together, we didn't have a lot to take care of. It was just like the front step. But Mel had the garage, so she never used the front door. So I did all the shoveling.
To be quite honest, like one time someone commented on like our front door, like we had like some decoration or something.
Oh yes, this is me.
And I had zero idea what they were talking about. I'm like, we got what?
Until Mel checked, and then she's like, okay, Ashley, you have to pick a season. I had like a Christmas wreath up there, and then I had my Thanksgiving stuff, and then I don't even know what season it was. It was way past both of those, but I think I had like a couple different things, and you're just like, you need to choose. I was like,
so see, this was the adult in me. I'm like, you've got to choose a season. You can't have all the decoration. Like, oh, this is for Valentine's Day, and no, you have to pick. So that was like the adult move.
You didn't use the door. I didn't care.
Yes,
I got away with it for a long time.
So those are like the fun, exciting things. So now I think we can dig a little bit deeper. Let's go a little. I don't wanna. Because this is really the reaction that I get when when we have to adult with things that are ugly. Like, let's talk about
like navigating emotions.
Navigating freaking emotions. Yeah. Even let's think about work. Mm-hmm. Let's think about having somebody at work that you need to have, like they're annoying the shit out of you. Like something is just, I'm going to go straight there.
Don't sugarcoat it.
No, I'm not sugarcoating.
So I'm not like the person you kind of get along with. It's like the person that fucking annoys you. It's like,
yeah. So, and it's like, well, you could be a bit of a teenager and, gossip and being like, whatever, Karen said this again.
Poor Karens.
Poor Karens. We don't actually know Karen, but we're just going to use it. Yeah, you could just be a super teenager about it and like starting like, or you can adult and be like wondering, what is this about this person that really triggers me?
Yeah.
And like, that's a hard one to do because it's so much easier to just be like,
to be a sassy little bee.
Sassy, being like, fuck you, Karen. Instead, it's like, you know what? Why am I so triggered?
Yeah.
And this is one of the moments where I would like vox at you or like being like, I don't want to adult and I don't want to deal with this because it's so much easier. Right. But
well, it's not even just that it's easier. It's also a reaction.
Yeah.
Right. And we don't always control our reactions. Once they're kind of out there, you can be like, whoa, like, where did that come from? But like reactions come out for a reason. So it's like.
Yeah. So it's like, it's true, like to recognizing the triggers and then just a bit of work on yourself. And then like, why is this coming from? Right. Yeah. Like this takes work. But yeah, I guess this is what it means to be an adult. But like if we're thinking about work as well, like let's say you need to talk to like an employer or somebody like a coworker about something, like about approaching a touchy situation.
Mm-hmm. Like how do you do it with grace?
With grace.
And like maintaining composure.
Yeah.
Not just flying off the handle. I mean, we F-bomb here all the time, but like it's not ideal in a business situation. So you gotta like, put on your big girl pants and just like.
Your big girl pants and like, you'll find yourself, like if you don't, I found that, like you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're not approaching the situation and you let it like fester and you're like, and then it's building and you're like, oh man, I really need to talk to that person, but I'm not taking the step. So you start resenting the person. Like you start being like, I don't fucking want to go to work because I'm going to see them.
And then like any little thing they do just like irritates you. Like it's just the smallest, like completely inconsequential thing that has nothing to do with anything, but that's it. Like, oh, this person. And then you're off again. And it's like, is that really the problem?
Yeah.
Like, no.
And then, but like that resentment, it's almost like, the step to take is like to feel a little bit guilty and being like, hey, buddy, like I need to talk to you and like approach it. Like we use this a lot, like the guilt over resentment. But like every single time, like that didn't fail once. Every time we use that guilt over resentment, so we'll have the ugly conversation and when you get adult, then it just feels so much better. But like, being a little teenager and wanting to stay in that resentment is like much easier.
Or like just going off on like, how angry you are without actually coming up with like, why are you angry with this person or why are you upset with them? Like, what are your reasonings? What are your potential solutions? Yeah. Like, because that would be more fun to go off with it. So.
Oh yeah, it's much easier. And then you can start like just telling everyone but the person why you're so angry and like, yeah.
And then the worst part about doing that is people generally tend to rally like, yeah, how can they do that to you? Blah, you know, and then you have this whole army of people behind you being like, yeah, you're right. And then meanwhile, the person that you're mad at has zero clue.
Yeah.
It's just like,
They don't.
like, that's just not fair. It's not fair. So you got a guilt over resentment. It was kind of hard to say. And then just go for it. And like, it's hard because like that gross pit in your stomach, you kind of want to like throw up and shit your pants at the same time. And then like you have the speech all in your head and you're like, Kate, I know exactly what I'm going to do. And then you see the person and you're just like, blank.
Yeah.
Like it's gone. And you're like, shit. We should have written it down.
Yeah. I'd found that even just like, you gave me that trick before and it's like, hey, I'm going to have a verbal diarrhea right now. Or, hey, I need to tell you something. Even if you're not sure of exactly how the word's going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Or asking the person, are you in a good space right now? I need to talk to you about something.
Yeah. And that one actually is, I came up with my current relationship
Yeah.
was because I knew a lot of my kind of like, we'll just say quote unquote issues and like my stuff from the past. Like I knew it didn't have anything to do with him, but it's still like I would get so aggravated about stuff, but I wouldn't really be able to process it. I was still really trying to figure it out, but like I would be putting like his direction and the poor guy can totally feel it. And I'm just like, meh. But then I can't explain myself either. And so I'm like, how do I talk to him about this because things can be taken so personally so fast.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm like, how do I talk to him? How do I communicate with him without sounding needy or naggy or whiny or come off entirely opposite of what I'm trying to say and then trying to backtrack? And so then, yeah, that's actually where verbal diarrhea came from. And so that's what I did. I was just like, listen, I'm like, I really want to talk to you. I don't know how it's going to come out. So I'm probably just going to verbal diarrhea everywhere. Is that okay? And he just kind of looks at me kind of weird, like, okay. And then I did. I completely stuttered. I couldn't get anything out right. Like I was backwards on what I was trying to say, but he knew that I was trying to say something. So like, even if it did come out ass backwards, he's just like, okay, like holding space instead of like being triggered and taking something personally. Yeah. So yeah, like I definitely recommend that trick, like verbal diarrhea, just like throwing it out there. And there has been times where it's like, he comes home from work and maybe I don't know he's had a really bad day. And I'm like, hey, I want a verbal diarrhea. And he's like, you know what? I've had a day. Like, is there any way we can do this later? Cool. Like that's perfect, right? It's not, I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to hear your shit or anything. It's just like, I'm not in a space to hold space for you. Yeah. So can we do it later? And it's beautiful. It's worked really well so far.
And how fucking adult is that?
I know. I was so proud of myself.
This is such an adult because you could have like messaged me and been like, meh, 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 and I would have been like, meh, meh, meh. No, actually I would have been like, yeah, maybe.
That's actually something I really value in my friendship with Mel is that she has never just taken my side. And like with all the, like in all the best ways though, right? Like she's just never been like, yeah, you're totally right on this. It's like, well, have you thought of it this way? I'm like, I
don't want to be an adult. And this comes back so often, but way to be an adult because it is way easier to just, the poor guy, I'll use my example, like something he did has no idea. And here I am like reaching out to all my girlfriends and waiting for them to be like, yeah, you're right. He's being an ass. And it's like, no, just be an adult and talk to him being like, hey, this is actually really bugging me.
Because 100% it's probably not on his radar.
Yeah.
At all.
Zero. It's like, every time like the head tilts like, oh, I had no idea. Or we'll be like, if you don't approach like a situation or whatever, if you don't talk about it, you will start building so many scenarios in your head. And this is not like, you're not doing that on purpose. It just happens. Like your brain is like creating those scenarios and you're going to pick the one that...
Oh, the worst one.
The worst one.
And then you're going to amplify that and make it the worstest.
Is this an actual English
It is
word?
A word now. Okay. No, it's not.
Don't teach me bad words. No. But yeah, so... Yeah, and that's your ego, right? You're just going to go and pick the scenario that pleases you. Like, that's like, yeah, that's definitely it. That's
you can exactly, like fester in and just sit in that grossness.
For sure.
Why do we do that to ourselves? Because it's the worst.
I don't know.
It's not very adulting.
It's not adulting. So that's the part where you need to check with yourself and like being like, you can use the word adult. You can try that. Am I being an adult right now? Like, is this actually what's happening? Or
am I reacting? Or am I being a 13-year-old trapped in an adult body, reliving a trauma that happened that I haven't quite dealt with. And that's why I'm being the sassy little bee. It's like, perhaps something to think about.
Exactly. And like when you, like with the work we do, right, with subconscious imprinting, and then because that pattern may have happened when you were like 13 with a previous relationship and like, you are like conditioned to react like that because it happened once. So you're definitely going to like, until you address it.
Exactly. It's going to continue replaying. And I think like those are easy to see is when the reaction is so intense.
Yeah.
When it's like, you're just like, you're so irritated or you just like can't stand that person, even though you just met them. Like just those really visceral, fast reactions. It's like, there's likely something there for you to look at.
Yeah.
So try not to shy away from it. And everybody's a mirror. It's so cliche, but like everybody is a mirror. And like the more somebody really like gets under your skin, it's like that is something for you to look at in you.
Yep.
Way more than it is about what they need to heal in them.
And I think I remember hearing that or seeing that somewhere, and that really resonated. It's like, if you get triggered, get curious.
Yeah.
Because if you get so angry, like, you know, the kind of angry, you know, like the driving angry, like you're driving and you're like, oh, I should have said this. Or that. Or in the shower, like you're so mad. And then like you've got those triggers and it's like, you know what? Let's use them. Like I personally, as soon as I get that now, this is after lots of work of adulting.
Years of adulting practice. We were training. We've been training
to be that
Our
adult.
30s have just been like training for adulting.
Can't would be 40. It'd be like graduating
to the next level. That's when we can buy the drinks according to Sex and the City. Anyway.
But yeah, so, and I've been journaling about it. Like, okay, that trigger, why? Like, what happened? And it's like, sometimes it's like, it's not obvious, but then the more you like get curious and curious and curious and it shows up and you're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this has nothing to do with that person, right?
Okay. What I love about what you said there with like the getting curious, this is something that is so important because our subconscious is always working. Like almost everything we do every day is subconscious, right? Like it's our autonomic system just doing what it does. So it obviously loves to work. It just does. But if you don't ask it any questions, if you don't put in requests, it's just going to keep doing what it does. So being really curious, that's when the subconscious is going to go through all the files and be like, oh, why is she asking this question? She keeps asking it, you know, like, why is she so curious about this? All right, fine, let's dig around. And then that's when you have those epiphanies. That's when you're like, you know, washing the dishes or going out for a drive and you're like, holy shit, like it all makes sense now, but it's because you got curious. So like, I really enjoyed that. So yes,
I just pictured like little minions going through the files.
Is that not what they are?
Yep. Well, I think that's what they are. I
hear them in my head. Just kidding.
I was going to be like, and we're going to pause this episode and get Ashley checked.
Just like banana. Just this little minion.
So do you have any other like adulting things that showed up that you were like, you have to adult? And it's like, I don't want to adult.
Well, for me, for business, because like I've never worked necessarily for someone. Like in my adult life, accidentally got into business. I think we talked about it before, but in my first round of business relationships, like people that I went into business with, basically just like crash and burned, lit on fire, all the worst things, got sued, like just the whole gamut happened in round one. And it was like, okay, like I did not adult well on that one at all, but I was learning. I was totally learning. What I did learn though, was because of that whole pile of steaming poop, moving forward in relationships, when I go and like contract out somewhere or go work at another company or like at a clinic, right? Or like working even with the girls at EHA, like the communication is so much easier to be open now because I refuse to go through that shit show that I went through before. Like I am never going through that again. And not only that, it's like the entire time, like I think I got burned so bad because I really assumed that people would treat me the way I treat them.
Yeah.
And that was not the case at all. But I knew that wasn't impossible. I'm like, there's no way that I am the only person that would treat people the way I treat. Like, it just didn't make sense. I just obviously hadn't found my people. So even when I found my people and like, I knew there was such a mutual relationship there, it made the conversation so much easier. So to be an adult now in my business relationships is so much easier.
Yeah, I am with you on that. But I personally still struggle because it's almost like I am still dealing with some of the trauma that happened back in my like early business days. And it's almost like I'm waiting for that other shoe to drop, right? Because I'm like, when things are so great and going well, I'm waiting. I'm like,
yeah.
And it's like my subconscious is waiting. I don't wish for any of that.
No, but there's still a little piece that needs to be healed. Because like cognitively, like in your head, you know that like I don't need to like, if anything does happen, it's like, it's so organic that it wouldn't be intentional.
Yeah.
Right? Like there wouldn't be like, there's nothing malicious in it. So if something did happen, I guess that would make more sense. It wouldn't be malicious. But that doesn't mean that the visceral part of you, your body remembers. Yeah. And so like, that's what gets anxious because it feels itself going in this position. It's like, no, we were hurt before. Even though brain and heart have done some healing, the visceral is still very much there. So like, I find, well, maybe you do too, is when you're presented with these positions, like with these learning opportunities, it brings it up like full force. Oh, yeah. And it's literally almost like kind of like when you're playing a video game and you get to like that final boss. It's like, that's the final boss. Like, are you really sure you're healed from this? Like, are you really ready to trust? Are you really ready to adult at this level?
Yeah.
Like, are you really ready to adult?
Yeah.
And then when you actually embrace it and it's like, you know what? No, I'm going to trust my gut. I'm going to trust my heart. Like, I know that XYZ is why it is, kind of thing. And then it just goes away. And then it doesn't seem to come back at that same intensity, but you have to go through it first.
Yeah.
Like as cognitively as you can go through a healing session and be like, oh, I've released it. Until you're faced with it again, you haven't actually released it.
That's
so it's like,
true.
It's so good to have those tests again later, because it's like, okay, have you really healed? Or is there a little bit more? And there's probably a little bit more there, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's a big test. And it's like, are you really ready to level up to this level? Because it's not comfortable up here. Yeah. Until you get there. And then when you're there, you're fine. But like that climb up, it's not easy.
Yeah, you're so right in there. And it's like, it takes so much consistency from someone to show up over and over and over and over again until you're like, you know what? I'm going to bring this vulnerable subject with you because now I know that you're going to be, you've shown me so much every single time you were consistent and you showed up with a soft, like, part of you and you were accepting and you were just like, yeah, okay, let's deal with it together. And it's like,
that's the first reaction.
That's the first reaction now, right? But it's so funny because like, even if we know that, even if I know that from like business partners and friends, it's still like that fear that they're going to reject you. And that takes over sometimes. You're like, oh my God.
Well, it's like, it's literally trapped in our fascia. Like that's where they kind of figure now the emotions get stored is like within the fascia. And that's why like that tensing, that tightening, that gut rot, that like, where you feel contracted. It's because you're having a somatic reaction to a previous event.
That's crazy.
So Mel's big line is the guilt over resentment. Like that is her big thing that she brought. And I love it. But mine is the consistency breeds trust.
Oh yeah.
And that one is tough. Because it's like, it's so applicable in so many different situations, but especially ones like this, where it's like you're like with the business stuff, where it's like, okay, well, this person, have they ever wronged me? Have they ever hurt me? Have they ever intentionally harmed? Like, do you know what I mean? We can go through the list. And if the answer is always no, then it's like, well, why would they suddenly just be like, I got you now? And like, what? Like that just, it doesn't make sense, right? So consistency breeds trust is like huge.
It's almost like we're in the rom-com and we're waiting for like the drama, like the music that's like, da, 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 like.
What if life had background music? Seriously.
Oh,
I just wonder. Anyway, that's...
Yeah. But yes, consistency breeds trust. But yes, like over and over again, they're going to show up. They're going to show up. They're going to show up. So yeah, same with relationship, friendship, business relationship, everything. If they've always...
And the relationship with yourself.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like we were talking like with the exercise and food. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency.
Yeah.
Are you always doing one thing a day to take care of yourself in a capacity, right? Like, are you consistently showing up for yourself? Because that breeds trust. Like your body and your mind, they're separate. Like there's separate consciousnesses there and they're on different pages. So they need to learn to trust each other. So if the body always knows, hey, my consciousness makes an effort every day to make sure that I feel acknowledged, taken care of in some capacity, that builds a huge trust.
That's true.
So,
wow. Yeah. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
That was
my little minions like,
we can take it right now. That was one thing, the consistency, right? Like I remember when I actually wrote a little post about that in COVID because it kind of frustrated me that because the world was kind of changing around people, like everything they've been doing. So in my training land, like every day would work out. Every day we would eat well or macros or whatever. Every day would get like at least 8 hours of sleep. So why would we stop that? Like, why would we stop when we need it the most? When that times where we need to have a routine and consistency, where would we stop? Like everything we've been doing for 10 years. Like that blew my mind. I was like, guys, you can definitely do push-ups, sit-ups, and squats. Like you don't have to, you know what I mean? Like it kind of irritated me that people just went like, well, fuck it now. And it's like, okay, you can go and fuck it. But like if you've been working towards your health for so many years, why would you fuck it up right now? Like
it's like, and what teenage version of you needs a hug?
Yeah, that's true.
Why are we throwing this away now? Like, yeah, like why would you put all this effort in? And now you actually have some time.
Yep. Oh.
And now you're just gonna like, what? Wait.
And that was like, where's the lie, right? Because I've had these people or clients or friends being like, oh yeah, I still want to work out, but I just don't have time. And now all they got is time. And then suddenly they had something else. And I'm just like, okay, well, where's the lie? Is it the time or is it
like 10 minutes?
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be enthusiastic. Just that actually that's something that I needed to kick my own ass at the beginning. Oh. I gave myself like 3 weeks. I did nothing. I think I mentioned that I watched Schitt's Creek for 3 weeks and I have no regrets. But that was definitely something because like I hadn't been working out as much as I wanted. I hadn't been doing as many movements or whatever. And yeah, I was like, all I have is time.
You were not like out in the world being like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever happened to me. Like you were not just like.
No, it's true. But I also had no excuses to not move.
Yeah, that's true.
Like none. Like none. So I was like, ooh.
Zero.
Like, well, I'm not being very congruent, am I? So I had to, dust off my integrity and be like, we should probably do this because.
But that was the adult in you.
I adulted.
And like it's compassion, right? Like it's okay. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. We talked about that. It doesn't have to be perfect. But if we put a little bit of consistency, right? And if that, I was, to everyone's surprise, I went to yoga for a week, 2 weeks, pretty much every day. And I was just saying, everybody's like, what are you doing? This is not CrossFit and lifting. But I was like, I need to be consistent and just move. And like if that what moves means for me right now is just
like what does your body want to do?
My body wanted to just relax and stretch and move and get a bit of heart rate up, but nothing crazy. And honestly, I'm so proud of myself for honoring that because typically before that I would have judged it. I would have been like, no, go back. Do like more. And it's like, no.
Do your lifts, do your this, do your that.
And instead it's like, just let it drop for a bit. And now my body's like, hey, we're ready. Like, let's go, right?
And then it can be fun again.
Yeah.
See, and I think that's like the sweet spot in adulting is when you can adult so well that you can go back to play.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like you take care of your bases, you cover your whatever's like, and again, not perfection, but like if you're really just putting in an effort to be a good adult, maybe you don't go to the dentist as often as you should. I might be talking to myself. But like, do you know what I mean? Like if you're putting in the effort and you're like, trying to adult to the best of your abilities, you can have so much fun playing. And I think that we get lost in that it's like when you become an adult, there's no more time to play. And it's like, well, actually you can maximize your play when you're an adult if you plan it properly. So, and I mean, and it sounds contradictory, but like truly like a really good adulting situation is when you've taken care of your shit. So you can just go play. You can go have fun. You
it's
can
like
go
our
do
little
things.
Weekend that's coming up in the Sunshine Coast. Like we've covered our bases. We're good to go. We've, we're ready to go play. Like we,
like made sure all our clients are taken care of, made sure like all of accommodations, everything's done, all of like, paid the Amex and like all of the things, like we're ready to go. And then we're going to get there and do whatever like whatever we want.
Yeah.
Because we planned for this playtime.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like, and I think there's adulting can be frustrating and hard and triggering and all that stuff, but it can also be really rewarding. Like, there's some beautiful magic in it as well.
Well, and I think I always kind of held on to that like childish part because growing up, my aunt would always say things and like family would always be like, you're not getting your childhood. You're like, you've missed out on your childhood. And they would always make these comments just because of the way like I was raised. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I just didn't understand what they meant. And I was like, you can be a kid whenever you want to be a kid. I'm like 8 years old. Of course I'm a child. Like, what else could I be doing besides being a kid, But then as I get older, I'm like, oh, okay, I see what they're talking about. But like, I just never understood, like, when do you stop playing? Like, when do you stop being a kid? When, like, what is there a timeline on that? And I remember I really started watching people then and being like, so like, when do you start doing your hair like that? When do you start wearing clothes like that? Like, when do you start like, I just started noticing these weird things. And I was like, is that when you stop being a kid? Like, I just always tried to figure it out. And then like, as I get older, I was like, you don't have to stop. You just have a few more responsibilities, but like, you don't have to stop.
Yeah, you don't have to. This is a big like thing that's been in our heads and our like society for so long. And it's like, it's different. We're different. We're in a different society now. We're different. Like we can continue playing. I love taking my board and going snowboarding. And even if it doesn't make any sense, I just love to play in the snow because it's fun. And that's it. Like, but right? Like why would people just choose work all the time over playing? Because it's what we've like working is such a badge of honor. Like we need, I worked 70 hours this week.
Yeah, the hustle.
And it's like, well,
time and place.
Have you played? Like, what did you do for playing? Like, what did you have fun for? Well, nothing. I didn't have time.
Yeah, because we're always in the hustle.
Yeah. And it's like that play, like, I think I think this is a different stage of being an adult. It's when you actually can, or you realize that you need to put more playing back in your life and let go of that like badge of honor of working all the time.
Well, and the hustle's good, but like, what are you doing it towards?
Yeah.
Right. So like for us to go away on a weekend or something, like, yeah, we're going to put a few more clients before, a few more clients after, you know, to kind of make up for the days that we're missing. So there's a bit of hustle in that, but like there's an intention behind it.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like, oh my God, I have to fill every single hour and I got to put extra time in here and I've got to do this. I got to do this. It's like, no, like we just covering our bases so that we can go and just play.
Yeah. It's like, and then do you live to work or do you work to live? Like it's just some people, I think in myself, like I'm the first one guilty in there. I definitely got lost into
COVID was very good for you.
COVID was so, thank you so much. But yeah, just work because you have to. And it's like, whoa. And then, yeah, now learning to play more. And it's actually really fun. Like the first few afternoons that I was like, well, shit, I can go home now. This is so awesome.
It's like, what do I do?
Well, I had zero like problem at this time.
Well, and just the way that the world is now compared to where it was like when we were growing up, it's very different now. Like technology has brought us to a place where it's like that old school hustle was a thing and it really made sense at one point. Like it's not like that was just there because like, no, it really made sense. But like now the way the world is built and with the way we can continue building it post-COVID, like we have so much opportunity to really balance out this work-life play thing and like be an adult and a kid. Like you can still have both. Like it's becoming so much more manageable, but you got to take the opportunity.
Yeah.
You got to do it. And it's a really hard, like it's a huge paradigm to try and shift. Like, cause like I still feel like I'm being lazy if I'm not doing something productive every day. Right. Unless there are days that I like my Sundays. I do not do anything on Sundays. And I can't be more clear about that. Like nothing.
Even if I'm like, hey, do you want to go for lunch? It's like, it's my lazy Sunday.
Yeah,
I'm
it's like, no.
Got it.
It's like, oh, but you don't have anything planned. It's like, no, that is the plan. Yeah. But I mean, besides like the Sundays, like if I have an open afternoon all of a sudden or something doesn't fill, I still get that little like, I should be doing something. But it's like, no, let that go. Like, what else could I be doing that's maybe like not being a paid thing in this moment, but what would be productive right now? What would create more for later? Like, maybe it is going outside for a run. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's taking an online course or something. But like, there's so many more options now.
Yeah, that guilt like shows up for sure, right? And it's like I'm much better at recognizing it because I'm like you'll see me. I'm like start walking and pacing in the house. Like, okay, what should I be doing right now? And it's like, you know what? Why don't you just enjoy your afternoon? Just take the dog for a walk and have fun. And like, that's it. Like, but the guilt still shows up.
But then every time it comes up, like recognizing it and being like, hey, I see you. I remember you.
Yeah.
It's like, do I really need you right now? Because check in. Maybe there is something you should be getting done. It's like, oh shit, I totally forgot about this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So check in. Like, no, there's really nothing I should be getting done. All right, guilt, like you're not needed right now. And like giving it permission to go away because it's a habit, right? Like it's an old pattern. And like until we recognize it enough 100,000,000 times to like tell it to go away, it's going to keep popping in. So the more that we do that, the less it will be there. And then the more that we see other people do that, the more permission we'll give ourselves. And like that's how it can kind of like snowball and kind of like have this like growth amongst other people because it really is changing out there.
Yeah.
And the only way to change it is like one person at a time, really just taking charge of doing what they want to do, what lights them up and makes them feel good while still being productive with more balance. We don't need to hustle like we used to.
No.
Not like
and
that.
like, cause like I've obligation versus doing things with passion or like to play, right? I'm going to use CrossFit for me, right? Like CrossFit and lifting. I've seen this as an obligation for the past probably 2 years. A little bit longer than I'm willing to admit, like because I still loved it. Like I still loved the movement. But I felt obligated to go work out.
Well, and like just in your defense though, like the obligation, like that feeling of obligation didn't like pop up all of a sudden like 3 years ago. Like it's been like a slow kind of like, what is this? What is this? Like it's been a slow growing thing. And it's like, oh, I feel obligated.
I feel obligated. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that until it clicked, like not too long ago. But like I felt obligated and like the workouts didn't feel good. Like I would walk into the gym and my traps would tense and I would be like, oh, like this, like again, the same thing. Like, oh, I see a shoe there. The
little
room,
things.
The room is not set up the way I would have done it. Like I was like really sort of like really critical about the gym. And
you were a bee.
Yeah, I was a super bee. But then I took my break, right? And I just kind of removed myself from coaching and all that stuff. And like literally like now I signed up for class and I'm so excited to go play with my friends.
Right?
Honestly, like, and my shoulders are not hurting. I just literally go in and I have fun because I don't have to do anything over there. I just need to be and play, and because this is stuff I love. And I forgot that I loved it because I was obligated to go, and I would stay after class to work out after I worked. And it was just
squeezing it between clients.
Yeah, squeezing it in. And even Andrew told me that. He's like, I haven't seen you come in here without your work bag for about 2 to 3 years. And I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. And and then I was like, shit, it's true. If he sees it, it's true. And then literally you should see me now. I'm like, I'm going to work out.
Right.
And I have so much fun with it because I'm playing, and it's not for obligation, and it's not because, and like we need to take that shift away that people have, that working out is to lose weight or working out is to look a certain way. Working out is to play and have fun and just like move your body,
and
like
have
celebrate
fun
your
moving
body,
your body.
right?
Yeah.
Like I can do this now. I can do this box jump. Like, so yeah, that's my, I don't know if it's adulting or not, but...
Well, it's adulting because you had to recognize that you were in an obligation, then you had to do something about that obligation. And then, right? I mean, like you had to do a lot of adult things to get to this place of play.
Playing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big shift for sure. Anything else about adulting that you want to talk about? How about taking care of your pet? Hi, Tuffy.
Yeah, that's really only for adults. And even then, it's only for specific adults.
So do you remember, I love my dog so much. He's 8 years old now, and I've had him since he was a puppy. So he's really part of my life. Like just thinking about him, my life without him is just like hurts me. Like I can't. But do you remember when, I think we were in Mexico, and one of my friend messaged me, she's like, hey, I'm thinking of getting a dog. And she was like a couple months pregnant, and I was already typing, don't do it. This is so much responsibility. Blah, blah, blah. Like I wrote a blog post, and I was about to send it, and I looked at Ash and I'm like, hey, do you think I should send that? He just said, did she ask you? And I was like, fuck you and being an adult. I'm like, no, she didn't ask me. So I just deleted my full blog post that was all my judgments and projection.
I was going to say judgments.
Yeah, it was all my judgment. And who am I to think that she can't handle it, right? Like, so it was just my struggle with having the dog, because as I was busy with work, I couldn't get to him the way that I would have wanted to be with him. Mm-hmm. So I deleted, but that was another adult thing. Sorry, I'm segueing in there, is like giving advice when people freaking ask you for advice. Yeah. If they're not asking you, shut the fuck up, hold space, being like, hey, those are a couple challenges that may come in, but I support you, or whatever, right?
Or what kind of dog are you getting?
Yeah. Like, if you need my help with anything, I will do my best to help you. But because let's be honest, being an adult and having a dog or a pet, you've got to be there. This is not like a 2-year commitment. It's like a 10 to maybe 14 to 15 to 16 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we inherited Tuffy, and he's a 13-year-old Chihuahua with like 6 teeth. He is a sassy old man, and he needs pills twice a day. He needs his walks. He needs to poop. He's still a lot of work.
Yeah.
So yeah, you need to be a responsible adult. His health is literally in my hands. So it's like, you don't want to mess it up.
Yeah. So. And it's true, right? Because I did open my big mouth to one of my friend at the gym when he was asking me if she should get a little golden retriever. And I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because the puppy, and now like he's such a happy person with his dog. So, but I was like, you know what? I'm sorry. I should have.
But I mean, like that was you recognizing your own judgments and projections, and maybe after the fact, but still recognizing them, because now moving forward, you probably would react very differently. Yeah. So I mean, you adulted, you grew up.
Oh, adulting.
So to summarize, verbal diarrhea.
Yes.
And this goes for relationships or any conversation that you feel awkward about, and you want somebody to hold space for you while you kind of fumble your way through feeling what you feel. Guilt over resentment.
Yes.
Don't let things fester. It does not do anybody any good. And it's just not good on your body. Mm-hmm. It does not honor your body very well. And consistency breeds trust. And that goes for every relationship, including the one you have with yourself. And these are our 3 keys to adulting. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to lie. Oftentimes, I look for an adultier adult still. I don't think that will ever change. I'll be like, in my 60s.
I'm waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting for the person with the short hair and like Mama Bear, Kim.
Yeah.
Kim, how do I do this?
I need one of my moms or one of my dads.
Yes. So yeah, I think we're always forever going to be like
Always going to be like that little kid at heart that's
Yeah.
like, I want my mom
I
and dad.
need mama advice, please. How do I do
Any
this?
of the ones that I've adopted, any of you, that's fine.
So we'd like to introduce a little concept to you guys, and we're going to start it today. So I always start my days with this, but we're going to finish a podcast on it today. So Ashley, for this week coming up, what are you open to receive?
I am open to receiving a surprise abundance from an outside source. So what I am calling forward is honestly just kind of more of what I've already been experiencing. I've been going through this kind of like almost eerie calm of like just ease of how things are going. So I would like to call more of that forward. I think that would be really great. So I'm going to stick with that. So whatever that looks like, and I am open to receiving that in the next week or so that November comes along, I can just like, I'm really excited for November. So
That's awesome. Yeah. And I'm open to receive a really easy trip and travels when we go to the Sunshine Coast. So I'm
that's awesome because
receiving-
I'll get some of that too.
Yeah,
Perfect.
there we go. So easy flight, luggage are good. We get the ferry, we get the car. We find a beautiful Airbnb. We found it, but we get in it and everything goes well. And we have a great time with the girls and we eat them. Apparently there's some great foods over
I'm
there.
excited for pickles.
Yeah,
But it's a burger place.
it's a burger place. So
It's called Pickles.
So I'm open to receive a really good times where we can like unplug a little bit. Yeah, have fun with us.
Not mad.
Not mad.
So put in the comments what you're asking for or what you're calling towards you and willing to receive in this next week. Well,
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Just let us know. What
Yeah.
are you open to receive? And honestly, just put it in your journaling. It's amazing what it does. It just opens up for you.
Because when it happens, you're like, oh shit, it just happened.
So thank you for adulting with us, you guys, today. And
We'll see you next time.
we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave a comment and a 5-star review. Remember to subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel. And while you're at it, follow us on Instagram. Oh yeah, and make sure you tell all your friends. We hope you were able to take away something new from this episode and maybe even find a new way to make lemonade out of your lemons. If you're still feeling a little sour, try a session with Ashval or Mel. Check the booking link in the show notes. This has been Sugar for Your Lemonade, signing off.